So I'm the ocean, and my favorite animal is an octopus because of how beautiful and intelligent they are. And my favorite view is probably the multicolored towels and umbrellas spread across a beach.
Hello, I'm the forest. One of my favorite animals are just the little birds that'll flutter around my branches and bring their little chirps. I just love them, and that adds to my favorite view in the morning is with all the dew that's still just lightly across all of the grass and the branches, and all of the earth seems to just be waking up.
Hey, my name is the Arctic. My favorite animal is a polar bear, and my favorite view is the frozen fjords in Greenland.
Hi, I'm the atmosphere, and my favorite animal would have to be the Arctic tern because it flies 95% of the year. And I think my favorite view is by far the galaxy above me, or maybe the city below me.
All right, I am the farm. My favorite animal is a horse, and I like the horse because it's very strong and helps transport things throughout the farm. My favorite view is the big red barn and holds all the different animals and things.
Well, I'm not doing great. I'm experiencing a lot of biodiversity loss, especially in my coral reefs. See, I siphon a lot of CO2 from the air, but that's affecting my toxicity levels.
I'll be honest with you, I'm getting nervous. Much of my existence is being cut down to make room for more agriculture, thus adding to a sufficient amount of biodiversity loss. It has become so depressing seeing so many of those little critters being deported or just pushed further back, an entire destruction of ecosystems.
Right now I'm feeling disconnected and a bit warm. You know how you're supposed to grow with age? I'm doing the opposite. The longer I live, the smaller I get. That's because of all the warming on the planet, and usually in the summer months I tend to melt a little bit, and then in the winter months I grow some of my ice back, but lately I haven't been able to grow much back just because of all the warming that's happening. And at this point I'm only getting smaller, and there's not much that can be done to stop it.
At this point in time, I'd like to say I feel pretty okay, pretty stable, despite the fact of not warming the way I should. Instead of warming uniformly, I seem to only be warming in the lower layers, more specifically the troposphere.
At this point in time, I am not doing too bad, but I'm not doing great either. If I continue on this path, I will continue to negatively impact the environment. And as of now, the U.S. food system contributes about 12% of global greenhouse gas emissions.
It's probably the pollution. There's 269,000 tons of plastic in the ocean. Not just big plastic, but also microplastics. It's affecting a lot of ecosystems.
To me, the most frustrating thing has been those who think that planting a single tree somewhere else will make up for this destruction, when it's not only the trees being affected, like I mentioned before, the loss of biodiversity, and it takes some hundreds of years for these trees to come to existence in the first place. And with a single chop, they're taken away. And that's just something you can't get back.
I think the most frustrating thing for me is that there was a point when we could have stopped the melting, but at this point we've kind of passed no return. I think that people are just really caring about, their next road trip or their next plane ride, and they're not really caring about the planet and the destruction that they're actually causing. And because of the melting, I'm unintentionally causing a lot of wildlife to suffer and bringing destruction upon so much.
I think the most frustrating thing is that there are multiple alternatives to creating power and replacements for usage of oils, and watching people turn a blind eye towards them, because it's just so much better and better options.
The most frustrating thing about farming is that most farms produce genetically modified organisms. This alters the genetic makeup of different organisms, such as corn and different foods that you grow, and also the animals that produce. They increase the size of chickens and cows, and do this for a profit to make more money off of these animals. This also has a negative impact on the environment, and it affects the soil that we use to grow our crops. It also affects the people negatively that consume these foods from the animals because of the genetic modified materials used.
Climate change is increasing the temperature of the ocean and affecting its acidification. I can only do so much to siphon CO2 from the air. Plus, overfishing is really toying with the delicate balance of things.
As I mentioned before, a great amount of deforestation has taken place in order to accommodate a growth in agriculture and furthering other businesses, and that's been a real struggle for me.
You know, rising temperatures have been a big factor towards my destruction. It's raised by greenhouse gas and soot covering my ice, and in March, April, and May of last year, the temperature was 10 degrees Celsius higher than normal, which could have only happened once in 80,000 years had it not been for human-induced warming. The humans are also causing permafrost thaw, which is a big problem on my end because this is causing oil spills, lake destruction, and a lot of damaged buildings.
I think like the leading cause of my downfall and the cause of my layers slowly being destroyed is due to the release of greenhouse gases and the rising temperatures, which are being caused by the release of emissions from burning coal, oil, and other natural gases.
The biggest destruction of farming is losing the land. Farmlands either become smaller or non-existent. In the past few years, farmlands have decreased more than 3% in the United States. Another huge downfall is global warming. Global warming is warming the soil and making the soil almost non-fertile and is becoming more difficult to grow crops.
Well, I don't think I'm gonna die personally anytime soon, but as more ice melts, it'll raise my levels and lots of people will be displaced, as well as acidification affecting lots of ecosystems and killing off lots of animals.
So much of this will depend on the continued course of deforestation, and if it continues to grow exponentially or if things eventually level out. Granted, if things continue as they are at present, according to several statistics, I will be gone entirely by around 2100 CE. That's in about 80 years.
Nobody knows exactly how long until I die off, but it's seeming to be pretty soon. Some scientists say I only have a few years left, some say a little bit more, but chances are it'll be sooner rather than later.
There isn't really any way of being sure of when I will die off, due to at times I'm stable and others I feel I might give way. It's just based on how much greenhouse gases are being released and just honestly on the day.
How long until I pass? Honestly, I don't know. I think farming will be around as long as the human race exists, but you never know. With the world changing so fast, anything can happen.
There are a couple ways you can help. For one, you could refuse to use single-use plastics like straws or utensils. And more local, national, and international marine protected areas would be nice too. And just being smart about what you eat and how you travel.
I mean, on a larger level, policies that discourage deforestation, or at least put a stronger limit on those who do come in, would be greatly beneficial. On a more personal level to individuals, if consumers were more conscious of what they purchase and who they purchase it from, they can help change and choose accordingly. And that in and of itself can start a difference by helping support those businesses who are watching out for me. Not to mention sticking up for me in public policies, because I can't speak for myself.
As of right now, not much can be done to stop it or even slow it down because we're almost past the point of no return. But if people just limit their greenhouse gas emissions and high rates of climate change, which causes permafrost thawing, I'll be able to survive for a little bit longer.
I think the best way to help me as the atmosphere is removing the need for burning coal, oil, and other natural gases. That could be very beneficial. And there, like I said previously, there are multiple non-life-threatening ways to get power, get gas for cars and stuff like that just isn't considered due to the cost of manufacturing that would come from using these alternatives, because we would have to change everything and it would also cause loss of jobs. So that's something that needs to be considered, but in the end, it'll be healthier for me and I believe our planet as a whole if we go this way.
One thing that can be done to help is more farms going organic. This shift will get rid of a large portion of the greenhouse gases, and that is the huge difference between regular farms and organic farms. Shifting more organically will slow down global warming, which will also slow down the process of the soil drying out, which will prolong the ability to continue to grow crops efficiently and effectively. And there you have it, farm out.